What is a vanity project? Now, this term gets thrown around quite a lot, and I think it's important to define the term. So, as an underground writer who doesn't make any money, somebody asked me once, "Are you only making your art for yourself?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And so I found that I often get into that category where people might say I'm a vanity artist because I'm only making the art for myself. Right? I'm not making any money. There's no purpose for it. And I think that's incorrect. Any artist in their right mind should only be making their art for themselves because you're your only audience that you can understand. You can't try to please people that you don't know. Even Goethe, the great writer, said art is for the individual. So you can only, it's not for the masses. So you can only make art that you think personally is good. But that doesn't make it a vanity project. And if you make no money at it, that doesn't mean it's worthless. And if you don't have a big fan base, that doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't mean you're only doing it out of vanity. Because if you really want to call art a vanity project, if you're only doing it for yourself, then all art would be vanity projects. Every job, everything you do in your life would be a vanity project. Like in the publishing industry, I've gotten into, printing on demand. How do you print your book when you don't have a lot of money? And so these print on demand services are often referred to derogatorily as vanity publishing, because you're just publishing it so you can feel like you're a writer. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not. You just want to feel like a writer, so you're paying for your book to get published. Vanity, right? You're a vanity publisher. So I suppose from the perspective of a writer, you're not a real writer because you're just printing a book so that you can tell people that you're a book writer, and there's no other reason that you did that. And I'm sure there are people that do that, and that would be a vanity project if that's the only reason you wrote the book or published it. It was so that you could walk around saying you're a writer and show people your book. So let's get to the bottom of what a vanity project is. Now, I Googled vanity projects and what they're known as, how they're described, how they're defined, and here's what I came up with. Here's a couple of examples. Vanity projects are ostensibly showcases for someone's talents as an actor, director, writer, singer, and or composer, but fail miserably to achieve their goal. I would agree with that, but I would abbreviate it into vanity projects are ostensibly showcases for someone to show off their ego, not their talent. Another definition I found online, used to describe something that is done with the aim of getting praise, fame, or approval, rather than for serious or good reasons. For example, the new bridge was quickly condemned as a pointless vanity project intended to enhance the reputation of the mayor. The issue I have with these definitions, especially that one, is that it's presupposing the intent of the artist. You could always say that about any art. You could say, oh yeah, well, he was only doing it to get famous. But sometimes somebody does something to get famous and it's actually good. I think there's a lot of movies and music and art that was done just to make money or just to get attention, but it actually turned out to be good. So I wouldn't classify that either as a vanity project. So the bombshell that I would drop is that my theory of what a vanity project is it is a piece of art that is designed, or it features the ego of the artist rather than the work itself. Battlefield Earth is like almost like the poster boy for vanity projects, because John Travolta made it as a way of like kissing up to Scientology. And yes, he did only make it so that he could kiss up to Scientology, and it was a terrible movie. But I don't think that's the gold standard for defining a vanity project. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a failure in order for it to be a vanity project. It could be it could do very well at the box office and have millions of, good reviews. And it could still be a vanity project. It doesn't have to fail. So I wouldn't call Battlefield Earth a vanity project as much as like a pandering movie that sucked. But on the scale of vanity projects, Battlefield Earth would be up there more than something else. And then there's After Earth, which one critic described as the biggest bar mitzvah present ever. He basically bought his son a movie. And I never watched it. I never watched Battlefield Earth either. I'm sure they're both terrible, though. But I think it's important to repeat that it's not about whether it did well or didn't do well. It's about the quality of the thing. And it's also about deciding, like, what exactly is this movie? Is this an actual movie, or is there, like, nothing going on? And it's just ego. It's just Will Smith's ego the whole time. It is nepotism, that's for sure. So on the scale of 1 to 10 of a vanity project, I would say whatever this After Earth crap, it's probably like, 6 out of 10. Like, it's pretty vanity. And I suppose the real gauge of how much of a thing is a vanity project is how much can you feel the ego of the person imposing itself into the work of art. And so I think After Earth would be more of a vanity project than Battlefield Earth, because you can really feel Will Smith trying to show his son off, rather than in Battlefield Earth, where John Travolta's at least trying to tell a story. Then we move to the Admiral Gender Studies movie. And yeah, definitely you can feel the ego of the person that's trying to like force their gender ideas into the movie. And to that degree it is a vanity project. And let's remind ourselves not to put into consideration whether the movie did well or failed. All that matters is how much ego is in the movie. How much of somebody's ego got in the way of the movie. And so yeah, I guess it scores like a 6 out of 10 in terms of vanity projects. They really blocked and botched the story in order to insert things that had nothing to do with the story, and that only had to do with somebody pushing their ego onto you. But this one, this disaster of a movie, the Korg movie, this is like a 10 out of 10 for me in terms of vanity projects. And I'll tell you why. This guy, Taika Waititi, he was so interested in imposing his ego into this movie that he had to make himself a main character. I understand a lot of people like this Korg thing, but to me it's the most repulsive thing, and it's just, I just feel this director trying to force his ego into the movie. And it isn't just Korg, it's also that he forced his favorite music into the movie that had no relevance necessarily, like Guns N' Roses, like whatever. And then he also had to mention orgies twice because he has something that he likes about orgies, even though it's supposed to be a kid's film. So you're seeing reasons why it has nothing to do with the story, but it has more to do with his, I guess, psychological issues. Like, I guess Taika Waititi really likes orgies. And I'll repeat that a vanity project doesn't have to fail in order to be a vanity project. It could make a lot of money and be a big success and still be a vanity project. It's about how much of the person's ego was imposed on us. Which brings us to Quentin Tarantino, who, oh my god, this guy, I don't care how much money his movies make or how much the critics love it, he imposes his ego, which is like, look how cool I am, I'm Quentin Tarantino, and I'm just like such a cool guy. I'm not talking, maybe you can, but I can't get through a movie without seeing him trying to prove to me that he's not a nerd and that he's really cool. And that's the perfect example of like inserting your ego, blocking the enjoyment of the movie with your ego. I can't watch a movie with this asshole anymore because all I see is him trying to prove to everybody that he's not a nerd. And he is a nerd. And I don't know what to say. It's embarrassing and I can't watch his movies anymore. Like, he's got this thing where, like, he has, like, certain things like Chesterfield cigarettes, which I think that's an invention that he made. He made up his own cigarettes for his own canon of movies. That's not so bad. That's just like that's like a subtle little, like, a subtle vanity thing. But I don't know what the but is. Well, I guess the but is when I'm distracted from watching the movie by his ego, like, essentially almost blatantly talking to me and saying, look, my name's Quentin Tarantino and I'm not a nerd. I'm cool. Like, Alfred Hitchcock had he had a cameo in every movie he made. And yeah, that's slight vanity. That's slight, very slight vanity. But it didn't destroy the movie for you. It got on with itself. The movie went on and, like, did not distract you from the overall story. Whereas Quentin Tarantino, it's just murder. I can't watch 1 minute of it without seeing this asshole imposing his ego into the movie. And I'll switch to Christopher Nolan, who really gets on my nerves because he puts love scenes in movies where they shouldn't be there. He puts car chase scenes in movies when they shouldn't be there. He puts gunfights in movies when they shouldn't be there. But in that case, he's just trying to get better box office, so it's not so much ego as it is pandering to the audience. I mean, that's a separate sin. So I would just say that a vanity project is a project that strays from the story to promote other things, specifically the artist's ego. And I think you should not confuse style with technique. You've got a certain hallmark way of making a movie or a story or a piece of art, and that would be technique. But I think style is something that's very ugly to me anyways, where you shouldn't be just showing off just for the hell of it, and especially when it has nothing to do with the story. So to end this, I would just say a vanity project is not a yes or no, cut and dry kind of thing. Like, there's levels, there's gradients. How much vanity did you put into your stupid movie? how much of your ego blocks the way of the story. But if you're an artist who just, sits in his basement and makes their own art because they think it's great and they like it, that's not vanity. That's what art is all about. I guess my bottom line is that you cannot define a vanity project by whether it makes a lot of money or is well received. That is absolutely irrelevant. If you support gays, click like. If you respect blacks, comment. If you think women are people too, click the notification bell. And if you care about sick children, subscribe.